bar because the community just kept coming in. They said, we're not going to miss Vegan Thursdays. Church groups would come in, all kinds of other people were coming in. You know, they had groups would come in all day long on Thursdays. Thursdays were good. Thursdays were good. So, you know, those things can happen. What else can we do? The non-therapeutic interventions. Now we're down to non-therapeutic interventions. But these are still, they help. And the most important of those is exercise. Now, if you go to the gym and you work out to try to reverse your diabetes, I think it's 7.8% of the people will be able to reverse their diabetes on exercise alone. But that's far cry from 50% or more. But it does help. And when you combine it with the whole food plant-based diet and you add that there, then you definitely push your results forward. Now, usually what happens is individuals will start with a whole food plant-based diet and they get down to a certain level and they sort of plateau there. And they can't seem to get quite to the reversal. They've improved their diabetes, but they haven't completely reversed. The thing that's missing is the exercise component. If they add that exercise component, they'll go right on down and reverse. So that may be where a lot of people are missing out. If you're not doing the exercise, you make sure that you add that in. You're walking about 4 miles a day. That's wonderful. Yes. Mm-hmm. Oh, yes, 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 yes. Uh-huh.
We'll talk about that.
They will. They will. Just keep doing what you're doing. It takes time. You didn't get here overnight. You don't get out overnight, you know, but it gradually happens in reverse. And so you give yourself 3 to 6 months. Okay?
We'll also talk about the dawn.
Yeah.
Have we talked about the dawn?
No, but we're going to get there eventually.
Okay.
Now, how much exercise does a person need? Well, I can't remember which thing it is, but they say 150 minutes moderate exercise a week is a minimum. Moderate exercise, how much is moderate exercise? I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. Other people say 300 minutes, greater than 300 minutes of moderate exercise a week. How much is that? How many hours is that? Yeah, that's 5 hours. So it's roughly about 50 minutes a day, roughly, that you need to be exercising. And anyway, or in place of the 300 minutes of moderate exercise, you could do 150 minutes of vigorous exercise a week. But all reports out there say it's hard to get too much exercise. Our bodies were built for exercise. So if you exercise, the more you exercise, the better off you are. I met yesterday, no, it was Sunday. I met Sunday with a gentleman who came through our diabetes reversal program twice. And first time he lost 80-something pounds. And the second time he lost 140 pounds. He wore out 2 treadmills. He would get on the treadmills and he would do serious workouts. He would put that incline up there, and he would sometimes his exercise segment would be 40 minutes long, and he's sweating profusely and whatever else. But you know, he's the only person I think we had come into our program that lost 14 pounds in 1 week.
Which is not what we recommend.
No, that we don't recommend losing weight, or certainly not staying on that kind of regime. But this
1
this
to
man
2
was.
pounds a week.
He told me, he says, if you have another program in town, I'm coming to it because I need a refresher. He's gained a lot of his weight back. But anyway, I was talking to Dr. Help me out.
Harold Meyer.
Harold Meyer. He is the head of the physiology department at Southern Adventist University. He has his PhD in physiology. And he said if you do 1 episode of exercise, 1 workout of exercise a week, it's going to do you very little benefit. He says you're going to do 5 episodes and you'll start to feel good. You do 6 episodes a week, it's absolutely optimal. He said if you do 7 episodes a week,
7 days.
7 days in a week, he says it's like you haven't done any exercise at all. It just negates everything out. It's like our physiology saying you need 1 day a week for rest. Anyway, that was very interesting to me. You know, that we've studied people, you know, you may have read the book, The Blue Zones, or the Blue Zone Solutions, where Dan Buettner teamed up with the American Council on Aging and the National Geographic Society. And together they studied the peoples of the world who lived the longest. And they kept circling these areas on the map in blue ink. And eventually they started calling these areas the Blue Zones. And they noticed some things about that. The people that live to be greater than 100 years old don't exercise. Now, I just told you about exercise. And now I'm saying they don't exercise. They don't have exercise workouts. Okay? But they build exercise into their lifestyles. So they're working out all day long. They're climbing stairs. They're kneading bread by hand. They're doing the push mower instead of the riding mower. Their whole lifestyle reflects not the easy thing, but you know, they have built exercise into their lifestyle, and they're so used to exercising they wouldn't think of doing it any other way. I worked with a lady. She would get in her car and drive her car to her mailbox, which is a distance of just a little more than from here to the highway. And then she would check her mail and she'd drive back to the house. Well, you know, a Blue Zone person wouldn't think of doing that. That would be the farthest thing from their mind. No, I'm not going to waste my money doing that. I need the exercise. And so they would go do it. So build exercise into your routines. If you're a person that doesn't like to exercise, find sports that you enjoy doing and then do them. You know, take time to treat yourself to exercise. For every minute that you exercise, you add it back on to the end of your lifestyle. But you improve the
end of your life.
Lifespan, excuse me, the end of your lifespan. But you improve the whole remainder of your lifespan. The quality of life, you improve the whole quality of life from here to there as a result of the exercise that you've done. So, yeah, get busy and start exercising. So, vigorous gymnastic workouts are not absolutely necessary. The amount of exercise that you do in the day, we now know, is actually additive. But it should equal up. If you add all the parts of exercise that you're doing, it should equal more than an hour a day, okay, of some kind of exercise. So getting up and moving. Avoid the sedentary times where you're sitting for prolonged periods of time. Anytime you sit for 30 minutes or more, you need to get up, stand up, walk around the desk, get a few seconds of exercise, and then sit back down. You know, you got to get the blood circulating again and other things going. But that little bit of exercise, even if it's only a minute or two, thrown in there, don't allow yourself to sit for long periods of time. Break it up. Get up and move. And it needs to be of adequate intensity. So when we talk about moderate exercise or vigorous exercise, what are we talking about? I'll show you in the next slide or two. SMART goals. Make sure that you put something realistic on your SMART goals that's actually going to get you going. Maybe you want to talk about that in your groups this evening. What can we do to increase exercise? Here's my situation. This is what I do, This is how I react to exercise. How can I increase that? Brainstorm together in your groups and see if you can help each other get over these hurdles, because we all have hurdles that we're trying to get over. So failing to plan is planning to fail. So let's not get caught in that trap. Next slide here, Karen, if you would.
Oh, sorry. And Mr. Wickham? We're on slide 14 now out of 46, so we
Oh.
got to ramp it up here.
All right. You are, but this is interesting
He
stuff. And
is
this is
adding
good stuff.
so many stories, but you'll remember the stories.
You'll remember
when
the
you
stories and you won't remember my lecture.
That's right. So speeding along. That's
Oh, yes.
right.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Speed.
Okay, so the voice test. If you're doing light exercise, you'll be able to talk comfortably. You're walking, you're exercising, but you can carry on a conversation with the person that's walking with you, okay? Or you can talk on the cell phone, whatever you're doing, you know. That's light exercise. What is moderate exercise? Well, moderate exercise, you're working hard enough, you can still talk, but you can't sing, okay? You can't sing. No. No, only in broken little phrases. Your breathing is coming a little harder, okay? So that would, and this is surprisingly accurate, okay? But this is the voice test. And if it's vigorous exercise, you can gasp out a few words, but you're not really in any shape to carry on a conversation. So, you know, when I'm loading wood in the truck and I'm loading these real big heavy logs and I'm putting them up there, you know, okay? That's about the extent of my talking. That's vigorous exercise for me. It takes me a little while to recover from that, okay? But it's relatively accurate. Next slide. Lifestyle intervention, exercise and insulin resistance. You know, when you, lifestyle interventions that improve insulin resistance would be ones that result in weight loss, and it can be brought on by diet and exercise, and you have continued improvement when you add into other interventions, and it's all necessary for reversal. And remember the burst training that we do. When you get that burst, you're burning up what's in the cell. Have you ever had these dreams? Maybe it's a dream, a vivid dream, a bear jumps out in front of you, and you start running, and you just start slowing down, and the bear's gaining on you, and you finally wake up in a panic. But that's where you need to be exercise-wise with your burst training. You want to get to the place where your muscles are starting to slow down. That's how vigorous the burst training is supposed to be. You have to build up to it. So we've started on the softy side here. But as we build, we need to become more and more vigorous in doing it. The optimal time is 30-second burst, and this can be up to 9 times more effective than the vigorous workouts. Anyway, but you will, more intense exercise is best because it lowers your insulin resistance following that bout of exercise. It lowers it for up to 72 hours. And if you don't eat for 2 hours following the burst of exercise, your body has a metabolic memory. It'll try to rebuild what you've burned up in the cell. But when you don't, if you don't eat for a couple hours after you do that burst exercise, you typically won't build back to that level. So you'll lower the fat content in the muscle cells by doing this. You lower your insulin resistance in the muscle cells. And the other thing that it does, it increases the number of furnaces that you have in the cells to burn. So, you know, that's the number of mitochondria, they go up. Timing your exercise is really important. So every cell has a cupboard. We just went over that. The vigorous exercise, we went over that. Metabolic memory, I went over that. Don't eat for 2 hours. Repeated episodes of vigorous exercise lowers your overall insulin resistance. Okay, other effects of exercise. Inadequate exercise raises your risk of type 2 diabetes. But an adequate amount of exercise decreases it. So I don't know, how many of you have done downhill skiing? Okay, if you really want to have some burning quads, do downhill skiing. Now people say, you know, I've heard people say, oh, you're just sliding down the hill, you're not exercising. I'm not exercising my eye. That's because I've never been out on the slopes and done it. You know, yeah, you're exercising. You get your blood going, you get your circulation up, your breath is coming in short pants, and your quads are on fire. Yeah, that's exercise. But find something you love. This is absolutely my favorite sport. So you can see my face right there, but my grandsons, they hid their faces. So anyway, I still do it. And that's how I broke my shoulder last spring, was skiing. So.
No.
No, I wasn't. I was dodging a little slow skier in front of me.
A little girl, and he knew if he hit her, he would hurt her
There was
badly.
a snowboarder coming down on one side. He and I were just basically going the same speed, and we came to a narrow place in the slope. And there's this little, about 6-year-old girl going along, dressed in pink. She stood about this tall, and he cut right in front of her. And so naturally, she cut to avoid him, and the person downhill always has the right of way. And she cut right into my path, and I had a split second to respond. And so I put on the brakes real hard, and it was just too hard. And my body, I just started tumbling like a log. From my feet to my head, So I went off the slope and down to I missed one of those snow maker machines. I had an 8-inch steel post. I missed that by about a foot. And I was heading into the trees. I took out, they had a plastic fence up there. And I took out that plastic fence as I went through there. So if it hadn't been for that plastic fence, I probably, I could have been dead or whatever now. So the angel of the Lord encamps around stupid men that get out and ski out of control. That's Steve's paraphrase. So anyway, preventing muscle loss, that's another benefit of this. Let's go to the next slide. And since I have to hurry, burst training. I love kayaking too. So, find something you enjoy doing and get out and do them. So the exercise will be great for you. So it's also known as interval training, so get there. We've talked about this several times. Be sure you check with your doctor before you get on a vigorous exercise program like this. But compared with treadmills and hour-long aerobics, helps you burn fat more quickly for up to 72 hours. So you'll have that vigorous burst for 20, 30 seconds, followed by 1 to 2 minutes of rest or until you catch your breath, and then go again. As soon as you can catch your breath, you know that the mitochondria are reloaded with that reserve from out of the cupboard in the cell. You're ready to go again. So hit it hard. And do it for 10 reps. And as you do, you just deplete what's stored in that cupboard. And as you deplete what's in that cupboard, you decrease your insulin resistance. The cell responds by unlocking the doors. The doors are there all along. The doors have just been gummed up because the cell's been overfed. And when the cell starts, when you start using up the reserves that are in there, voila, the cell pulls the chewing gum out of the locks, and there you go. So 10 repetitions, rest and exercise. You just do that over and over again. And it'll take you about 20 minutes. Start with Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, or whatever, and every other day. And then you take one day off. You can increase that. You can get additional benefit up to 6 days, but don't do the 7 days, because the 7 days, if you do that, you're not helping yourself at all. So you have the thing right at the top. It says you will increase your fat burning for up to 72 hours. While you're sleeping in bed, you will increase your fat burning. So, you talk about losing weight and weight loss strategy. That's one of them right there. That'll certainly do it. And then there's lots of other benefits. We're going on. Okay? If you don't know what to do, you're tired of your routine, get on Google. Google knows a lot. Okay? And you put in low impact burst training. Now, I can tell you that some of the low impact burst trainings are not low impact. I don't know how they figured that out. But search around a little bit and you'll find some that are at a skill level that you can do, and then get on with it and start doing them. But if you do some of the vigorous stuff, that'll be really problematic. Okay, let's talk about sleep deprivation. People that don't sleep at night, sleep less than 6 hours a night, typically have a harder time reversing their diabetes. So you want to try to get up to about 8 hours of sleep a night. And if you do get adequate sleep, It causes you to have lower blood sugars. If you have elevated blood sugars, that actually interrupts your sleep. So doing what you can to lower the blood sugar before you go to bed is very helpful. If your blood sugar spikes, then your body responds by causing you to diurese or, lose water. So you'll have to get up during the night and go to the bathroom. So that can be problematic. But adhere to your diet plan, whatever works for you. Get regular exercise and keep a regular sleep schedule. Avoid the blue lights, things like the cell phone, your computer, television, any of those LCD screens. Turn those things off an hour before bedtime. And turn your lights down in the house, Get ready for sleep. Avoid stimulants like caffeine or nicotine before you go to bed. Keep the room cool, dark, quiet. Should be probably the room in the mid-60s for optimal sleep. For some people that's a little chilly. Put an extra blanket on and snuggle up. Okay, it'll help your sleep. We need to talk about food addictions. When people get addicted to something like a drug, it's a complex physiological thing that goes on in your body. And just to summarize a little bit of what happens, it stimulates an area of the brain called the ventral tegmental area, the VTA. And when that happens, it causes an impulse to move that makes you release dopamine. When dopamine's released, it gives you a feel-good feeling. Exercise can release dopamine. That's why people that do routine exercises keep going back to do it again. It's because they get used to the dopamine high that it brings on. If you're doing it like 5 days a week, you exercise 5 days a week, you're going to be getting that dopamine release, and it's going to feel good, and so you want to do it again. And so you keep coming back for that. But a craving is an intense want. You really want something. And so the VTA gets stimulated, causes the nucleus accumbens to become stimulated as well. And then all around through the prefrontal cortex of the brain, you'll have this release of dopamine, floods the brain with those kind of things. A glass of water. You can drink a glass of water. When you're thirsty, how good and refreshing a cool glass of water is. And the reason you like it so much is because it stimulates your reward center of your brain. There are other things that do it. Eating a meal will do it. Sex will do it. So anyway, we keep going back for more because it causes that. But in some sensitive individuals, it's like they have an overreactive response to certain foods. And that can become a problem for a person that's trying to reverse their diabetes. So when we're talking about trying to augment our diabetes reversal, you need to just try to think, do I maybe have a food addiction? And with a food addiction, the food or the drug is often preferred over other activities. Sometimes people will hide to eat. If you find yourself in that category, maybe you are already heading down the road of developing a food addiction. It actually is a learned type behavior, a behavior where you become conditioned to it, and you can anticipate what trigger may do it. For some people, it's ice cream. For other people, it's something salty like potato chips. It could be chocolate. It could be chocolate that's going to do that to you. It could be any variety of things or a combination of things. But it's not really something that we say, this will cause it or that will cause it, because it seems to be different for every individual. And it's something, when you begin getting an overactive response in your brain, it's like the brain over time realizes that you're getting too much of this dopamine stuff. And so it throttles back your response. Therefore, you have to have more of the drug or more of the food or whatever it is to give you that same high. And so that leads to dependence and addiction. And as a result of that, oftentimes people get really depressed. And so it's a lot of like drug addictions. It's the same kind of pattern. So if a person gets caught up in this, they may be needing some professional help. And, it would be something where you need to at least be aware that this could be happening, because a lot of people with diabetes are struggling with these kind of issues. So the speed of dopamine release becomes something that's important. Some people, they will binge, but they will eat whatever it is really rapidly, because the more rapidly they can make that hit their stomach and cause the blood sugar to rise or whatever it is, the more it causes the intensity to go up, the intensity of the dopamine release anyway. So you have impaired control, and there's social problems. People will oftentimes avoid things that they know they should be doing. They will just be absent from responsibilities. They were supposed to do something and they just didn't show because they're hiding, eating, or whatever. Anyway, they know it's doing them bad. They continue to do it anyway. And so, anyway, that's about as much as I'm going to say. I'd like you to take out a piece of paper, just turn something over, or write on the back of one of the sheets.
Some blank sheets of paper on the table, or you can write it on the back in your book, on the back of a sheet there in your book.
So I'm going to read down a list of things, and I want you to just write a Y for yes or an N for no. Y for yes or N for no. And I'm going to read these down. So 1 to 14. And here we go. Number 1. Have you ever wanted to stop eating and found you just couldn't? Yes or no? Number 2. Do you think about food or your weight constantly? Number 3. Number 2. Do you think about food or your weight constantly? Number 3. Do you find yourself attempting one diet or food plan after another with no lasting success? Number 4. Do you binge and then get rid of the binge through vomiting, exercise, laxatives, or other forms of purging? Number 5. Do you eat differently in private than you do in front of other people? Number 6. Do you eat to escape from your feelings? Number 7. Do you eat when you're not hungry? Number 8. Have you ever discarded food only to retrieve it and eat it later? Number 9. Do you fast or severely restrict your food intake? Number 10. Have you ever stolen another person's food? Number 11. Have you ever hidden food to make sure you have enough? Number 12. Do you obsessively calculate the calories you've burned against the calories you've eaten? Number 13. Do you feel guilty or ashamed about what you've eaten? Number 14. Do you feel hopeless about your relationship with food? Number 12 again. Do you obsessively calculate the calories you've burned against the calories you've eaten?
What was number 9 again?
Number 9. Do you fast or severely restrict your food intake? Okay, count the number of yes answers. If you answered yes to 3 or more of those questions, you may have a food addiction problem. Can't say for sure. Dr. Vera Tarman is an expert in this area, and she developed this list of about 20 questions she has in her evaluation, but these were some of the most pertinent for diabetes. So anyway, so you got to just be aware of where you are. You don't have to share that information if you don't want to. But how to control food addictions? One, avoid the trigger foods. If there's something that puts you on a binge, just don't do it. Number two, get professional counseling if you're having a problem with that. Number three, Dr. Joel Furman is an expert in diabetes reversal, and he's also worked a lot with food addictions. And he says that one of the best things you can do is to do a whole food plant-based diet, because that in many people will be adequate to control most food addictions. Do up to a 3-day water fast. If you're doing a 3-day water fast, be sure you check with your doctor first, because he may want to hold some of your medications, your diabetes medications. But a 3-day water fast will help defat the liver. It would be good for you. But the other thing it does is 3 days on water, and your body will reset a lot of its internal hormonal levels. Oftentimes our hormonal levels can get out of balance, and they basically stay out of balance because of the lifestyle we're on. But with a 3-day water fast, it would put it back in. Now you'll want to come off the water fast very slowly, and so gently. And maybe what you would do the first day is you would eat 3 or 4 small meals of just something like fruit, and then be really aware. Eat your fruit slowly, but be really aware of your feelings. And be aware that there is going to be a feeling when you start to get full. A lot of us have so altered our internal hormones that we don't hear that signal anymore. We're going to talk some more about some of those signals on night 6. No, night 8, excuse me. Yes, this is night 6, on night 8. Anyway, but just listen to your body. When you first feel the impulse, I feel full. Don't empty your plate. Just stop right where you are. You know, you can put the food away, save it for another meal, feed it to the dog, give it to the compost pile, whatever. Don't let it go to waste, but, you know, just stop right then and allow your body's hormones to talk to you. And your body will, you know, your sensitivity to those hormonal urges will wake back up again. And we could test all this in the laboratory if you wanted to spend lots of money, but you can just do it. Ask God for help. Old habits will give way to new habits that bring you greater health. So there's lots of benefits from fasting. I'm not going to go over those. I've got a couple things. Are we having a drawing tonight? Yes. Okay, let's do the drawing. And then there's a gentleman here I'd like you guys to meet. So we'll... Did someone drop a ticket? Now, Mike says he dropped it.
Do you all have your tickets?
Does anyone need a ticket?
Pull it out. If you don't have it, then we'll know who dropped it. So John is looking. John, can we just give you another one? Okay. Well, he's not sure, so let's just give him a new one. They're getting you a new one.
Okay. Oh, she's going to put the other half in here, and I'm going to shake them up. They're all shook up now. And this one is going to be, it's upside down, so it gets to be read first. It says 496500. Oh, very good. Okay, what do you have for the drawing? Oh, it's a basketball right here. 496500. Yes, very good. Well, we don't want you to cheat, but you can just put it right here. Okay, congratulations. Just take your pick of what's over here. There's some cookbooks, and
there's some food on the other side.
And there's even a T-shirt. So, yep, and food's in the plastic bag on the other side. So, Balance magazines. Anyway.
Okay,
all
next.
Right, next person. This one is also upside down. This one is 496501. That's it. All right. Very good. Come on up.
All right, let's do one more.
Excuse me. All right. Here's one more.
One more, and if he doesn't take the food, then it has to be for the food.
Okay, 496, 497. 496, 497. Must be. Well, we can put it over there and we'll do this one. 497? Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Okay, she's got it. Very good. Pastor Jason. Jason Shaw is the pastor of the church here.
Just a minute. You need to do one more, and it has to be for the food.
Oh, one more. Well, I don't know. I just threw the other ones back in here. Can I pull out one? Well, here's one I don't think I read off. Okay, this one's 496, 492. 496, 492.
You want someone else too? Okay, she says someone else is she's one every week.
Okay, well, let's see what we can do
That's
here.
sweet of you, thank you. What I like to do when we personally do a seminar is I put everyone's name in a jar, and I have a jar that's won and a jar that hasn't won. And when you win, I move your name over. And that way, everybody wins before anybody wins again. But that's a risk with doing tickets.
496, 496.
Didn't you already call that one the first time?
No, I did 496, 497. 496, 496. No one has that. No one owns up to that. Or else they don't want it. Well, we'll do this one. 496, 495. Oh, okay. Now you got one.
I'm glad you're going to get to try this. There you go. Okay.
Okay. Jason Shaw is the pastor of this church. I just want to thank him and the church board as well for allowing us to come in and do this program. And also I wanted to take this special opportunity to thank those people that have acted as table coaches or that have done the meal preparation in here, the food samples, that have taken the blood pressures or done the weigh-ins or all that. It just takes a community to put on this kind of program. But the Adventist Church has they believe in health and promoting health in the community. So I just wanted you all to meet him. You want to say a word or two to these guys?
No, I'm glad you're all here, though. This is important. It's very useful information. Actually, before I got here, I actually did my exercise routine before I came to this series right now. Keep it up. Don't quit. Go all the way. Go all in. You won't regret it. I know people. I worked at a natural food store for about 11 years. I know people who reverse diabetes, cancer. This guy's telling you, it's all true, and it really works. It does work.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Would you forgive me if I do that? Let's go straight to table coaching. What are we going to cover in table coaching? We're going to cover this. Oh, by the way, our topic next week is the dangers of oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is the thing that causes most of the organ failures in people with diabetes. Things like the heart failure, things like the kidney failure, and strokes and all kinds of stuff. It's caused because of oxidative stress. So we're going to address that and how to get rid of that. And I'm going to move right on to the coaching objectives. I want you to share with your group which of the two therapeutic interventions you've chosen, which is one is the the low-calorie diet, very low-calorie diet, or the other one is whole food plant-based. And then identify additional interventions that you're going to add to your plan, your reversal plan, be it exercise or some of the other things we've talked about, and describe how well you are adhering to your plan already, what your problem areas may be. You might want to discuss as well your thoughts about food addictions. So those are some of the things we're going to work on. Okay? Let's break up into our groups.